perspectives, different views, one voice.
Welcome to the Perspective Podcast. My name is Cam. This is a continuation of whether it's worth going to university. I'm joined in the studio by
Ali,
Chris,
and Kojo.
We're picking up from where we left off.
So there's this article here on the BBC. Sometimes these articles, it dates a bit further back. So this is 2015.
Okay.
And it says most graduates in non-graduate jobs. So it says here that the majority of UK university graduates are working in jobs that do not require a degree with overqualification at saturation point. So overall, 58.8% of graduates are not in jobs deemed to be non-graduate roles, according to the Chartered Institute of Personal Development. So I guess the whole conversation about is going to university worth it? These are some of the stuff. So if you're going to have 58.8% of graduates in roles that does not really require a degree, then the question is, was it worth those graduates going to university? And I guess with that stat, you could come across and say, no, because it's like, why would you need to go to university just to be in a position where you didn't even require a degree? But I guess some of the statistics, this is the thing, the stats that we're having is a bit, it's almost like you have to drill down a bit more, because when you're checking the financial disparity between graduates and non-graduates, it seems to be way high for people that have been that been through university type of thing.
But I think at the same time, you know, what I would say is, typically speaking, when you go to university, the average age you go to is at 18. I think people at that age are still trying to find themselves.
Yeah.
So you may have someone that goes to university and studies a particular topic, and after they graduate, realize, well, I'm not really particularly interested in this topic. I have to go to university to discover that, so I now want to do something else. So sometimes I think when you do mark those statistics, the question I ask is, are those people not in an industry they studied? Now, are they not in an industry they studied because they can't get a job in that industry, or have they just decided, well, I'm not interested in it?
Yeah.
I know people that on my, studied law and realized they just weren't interested in the theory of law, and if they didn't like the, whole theorizing on the law degree and all that, they couldn't see how they would like it in practice. They will completely turn it off and thought.
But then, is there a reason why that happens? Is it because of the experience of studying that it happens down the line, or?
I mean, you could just work out that it's not something you're particularly interested in, and you may not be passionate, and you may be studying alongside other people who you can see they have a genuine passion for it, and you can't see that you have that yourself, and realize, well, maybe this isn't the right thing because I'm not as passionate as, say, Ralph, who's studying, the degree, really has their mind set out and say, okay, they really love this particular aspect of law. I can't really find something.
I think with this conversation, though, there will be a disparity in regards to statistically, in the sense that when we're talking about is it worth going to university, we're looking at stats across the UK in general, right? And then when we're looking at stats within the UK, so we have to look at the Russell Group universities, right? Where if you attend to one of these universities and earn a degree, your trajectory, you are going to get into a job that pays really high.
Yeah.
Like Cambridge. So if you could imagine that we're talking about graduates in a sense. So you could have one graduate coming from that university that's earning really high. Yeah. And you could have another graduate going to a lot of these BME, because if you check statistically, so only about 1.5% of people from black and ethnic minority background that are able to get into the Oxfords and the Cambridge. So when you're looking at that, then disparity-wise, you're going to say that money that's being quoted is being earned by people from a specific background.
Yeah.
Right? Because they're the ones that will be up the upper echelons of the people that have been to 18, and then from then on, it seems that from our bloody prime ministers all seem to have gone to the same bloody so it just shows you,
and it almost feels like an old school club where you've been to that sort of university, you're going to get a certain job. Exactly. I remember I had a conversation with one guy, he's a lawyer, and he's working at a top city firm. He was a paralegal, and this actually has nothing to do with race because he was white. And he said he had a conversation with one of the partners there, and the partner had a pile of different CVs, and he said, people that go to Oxford and Cambridge, their CVs stay in this part. You can stay at this firm, you'll never get. And the guy was blunt with him. He said, you can stay at this firm, you'll be a paralegal, but
that's it.
We're never going to offer you a training contract because you ain't been to one of those universities. That's actually what it comes down to.
Really?
Yeah, and it had nothing to do with race. That was just down to the fact that he didn't go to one of these universities.
Yeah. So yeah, but then I think, and this is what I said before, if we're looking at social classes with the UK, it will be more beneficial for people from a whiter background. It's just part and parcel of that. But then when you're looking at this one, when I'm looking at some of these stats and I'm thinking, wow, like, it's not painting the picture that I see within my not that human, because my circle people are okay. It's not painting the picture of some people that I've been to uni with, and I'm seeing them in Tesco stuck in shelves, and I'm like, where is this pay disparity coming from? Because what I'm saying is that it's flawed to a certain extent. Because if you're looking at the general view of it, you're going to get people coming from this Russell Group universities that are earning really high and projection regarding careers really up there. And then you're coming other people that are coming from other universities from a different background that are still struggling. So I guess with that, you're doing an average, and the average will paint a picture that might not represent a specific group, which is why we're having this conversation. So is it worth going to university?
Yeah.
I'm saying that it's worth it for some groups, but not necessarily for other groups. It's personally what I personally think.
And it's worth it because, for example, if I, like right now, Canada, they're looking for a degree. People are educated. So if I go to Canada right now, because I'm qualified degree and I've just shown my certificate and everything, my experience and my CV, I will get in and they will give me the Canadian passport, everything, and then I will have a job I'm getting paid right now. So in some element, degree is worth it because the reason why I'm saying degree is worth it is it's curriculum and it's educational. I can be a literate. The reason why I'm saying degree is worth it from the beginning of school timing to finishing university, it is very important where as a person, you're knowing yourself, you're understanding yourself, you're growing, and you're becoming that person at the end of it. Okay, there is a flaw, which is the tuition fee, the loans, and then after effects. And then you're thinking, is this what I went all the years for in my life? Because most of it is like good years of your life studying, right? And some people still go on and trying to do PhD or whatsoever. But educational in general, it is worth it. So you as a person knows how to read and write. You as a person to understand yourself, how you're evolving. You as a person, when you're in a certain area in a room, you know what to say, how to express yourself. So in a way, university is worth it. But is what is the package, right? Is the package that they put into the university that allows it, the generation now that's allow it for it to be affecting certain people in a way whereby, as you mentioned, social class, because you go to Cambridge and Oxford, you can have all the jobs you want. Because you're bankers, you can have a huge amount of salary, which is not fair. If a lawyer and a doctor, engineer and architect, they still do that degree, but they haven't gone to Cambridge and Oxford, they should still able to still get the job that they want. And a banker, because they are earning 100 and something thousand or 200,000, that does not allow them not to get the other the other people that study laws and doctors. It should still be a comparison. You know what I mean? Because doctors are very important for us in our lives because we need them. Lawyers are very important in our lives because there are going to be a lot of obstacles that we're going to go through. And architects are the ones that are building the houses that we live in. So it needs to be compromised. It needs to be good.
It's almost as if you're saying that these class of people should be paid more because of the value that they bring to.
Well, they are part of the world.
Firemen need to be paid more because they need. Nurses need to be paid.
Yeah,
more.
no.
So there's a continuous
doctors,
conversation to be had.
No, I mean doctors and nurses falls together. All of that area. You know what I mean? I'm not saying that.
I'm not disputing that.
Yeah.
I totally agree because of the value that they add in our life.
Yeah.
I think some of the stuff that you've said there is the reason why maybe going to university is not worth it. Because one, if we're talking about disparity between social class, where you could have someone that's gone to one of the Russell Group universities studying law, still earning 50% to 60% higher than someone that's gone to another university, then what's the point of that university? Because we're saying here that even though you're going to university, there's two different classes of education that you can get.
Yeah.
Meaning that if I've gone to those, I know more. I should know more than you. Two is that reason why university, because there's a barrier even in university. And as I said before, 1.5% of people from black and ethnic minorities are getting into the Russell Group schools. And then when you look at that in regards to now, there's greater number of people from disadvantaged backgrounds that are actually going to university. However, that percentage is not increasing. So what we're saying here is that we still live in a society where the minority will govern the majority.
Yeah.
In the sense that the people that have gone to these Russell Group schools will be the one that will govern the majority.
Yeah.
And then, as we said already, if there's only 1.5% of people from that background going in there, then we're going to say that in the state that we're living in, I know there is more plans. We've got people like Stormzy that's actually pushing the agenda to get more people from disadvantaged backgrounds to be represented in these Russell Group universities. And I'm hearing funding and whatever.
I think it's funding for Cambridge.
Funding for Cambridge, and I think he's worked out some sort of, because these are quite important. Because what we've established here is that going to university is worth it. However, there's two classes of education system that we're earning here. Because, for instance, when they're saying 60% of graduates in non-graduate jobs, this does not affect the Russell Group. This 60% is not with the Russell Group. No. Because those Russell Group universities, you get into a graduate scheme. Yeah,
you're guaranteed.
You're guaranteed to get into certain things that. So a lot of these things that we're talking about, I'm a bit on the sideline regarding whether going to university is worth it or not.
But then,
to add to that, I mean, I think university is worth it if you've got a game plan in mind. You need to have a game plan.
You need to know what you want.
You can't just go to university with your eyes closed, because I guess you need to understand if you're going there for a job, to come out to get a job in university. I guess obviously there's certain courses that you study which are geared to a certain career. Like if you study economics, then you're either going into accountancy or you're going to work within the banking industry.
Yeah, there's a weird thing.
Things that you study engineering. The idea is that you're going on to become an engineer. You study law. You're going to become a lawyer, and so forth. So I think it's with that being said, if you have a game plan in mind, and when I say a game plan, it's just like you go to study, but at the same time, it's how you get into that industry. So it could be attending networking events. It could be, because as I said, in some industries, it's not what you know, it's who you know.
Connection.
So if you make connections with certain people, and as I said,
if you make the connections, is it worth going to university? Because as we said, if someone has those skill set, or someone is able to maneuver themselves in positions where they know people in a certain, then that person doesn't necessarily have to go to university, because you could choose another path that will get you up there anyway.
I disagree, because I think if you've got a degree, like let's say you've got an economics degree and you want to go to a specific city firm, as opposed to another, you would have to, having the degree is the entry point. But so you've done that job. However, you may want to go to a specific firm, and in order for you to do that, it might be easier for you to do that if you may make a connection with someone who works in the firm who can bring you to meet others and then sort of push you forward to get a job. I think
we're saying that that's depending on the job that you're going into. But there are certain jobs where a degree is almost like a criteria as a barrier to entry. And there are certain jobs where you don't need a degree to start off. But there's other vocational, even some of these engineering type of jobs from BT, because I've known my cousin that went through the whole apprenticeship scheme. And through that, you'll be able to get the experience that you need to do that specific job. So that degree is not necessarily a barrier. So if you give me, depending on the job, I would say, yes, you might need a degree, but it's not applicable for every job, is what I would say.
But let me add to that. Because on my side of it, as I'm studying, this is what the university failed to do, especially the tutors as well, the teachers. They have a big effect on that. When you're doing certain course in university, they say to you, don't study, don't work. They say don't work, focus on university, try and finish it, and then after that you can start to work. But what I did when I was at university, I worked as well at the same time, so I was gaining experience.
Was you working in the field that you were studying?
No, I was just working as a sales assistant, but it is when I'm studying and I'm working, it's preparing me in the social world of how to be around people, and it's preparing me how to able to. Because sometimes you get people that just study university, and then when they start to work, they don't know how to be in a team. They're not a team player. You understand? So I had the opportunity, and I would say from what we're saying is it worth. I think when you do go university, also work as a part time. If it's a Saturday or Sunday or in the evening if you can, but obviously know how you're doing it, because it can be a lot of burden into you as well at the same time whilst you're studying. But working and at the same time studying is very important. If you have the opportunity as a connection or whatsoever to work on the field that you're studying, it's perfect. It's the best thing you can do. But if you don't, because the reason why I'm saying this is because whilst you're working, is mentally, emotionally preparing you in the world to say to you, this is how reality is going to be. It's preparing you. There's no doubt about that, because you're going to go through how to get to your jobs. You understand? You're going to go through, okay, this is the time I need to go to work. Okay, this is the time I need to finish. So when I come back home, what am I going to do? So it's preparing you, literally. So if you don't do that and then you just focus on just uni, and then as soon as you come out, some people don't have a clue what to do. What next?
Okay, I think what we should do now. Okay, so if you can imagine, I slightly disagree with that statement.
Why? Wait. Why do you disagree? Why disagree?
Because you don't have to go to work to know punctuality and attendance when you're going to uni. It's part and parcel. You've done that from school, from secondary.
No,
school.
I'm not. It's not. I'm not saying punctuality.
That's the point we make. Because also, I was going to add is that also makes a difference between whether you go to university where you stay at home with your parents, or whether you go to university where you stay on campus.
Yeah.
Because you pick up certain skills when you're away.
Yeah, you do. Because I stayed home. I stayed home.
I stayed home, but.
Nah, you gain.
You do gain different.
Okay, this is what
different experience.
No, you do.
I'm not disputing
I wish I
the
went to
experience.
campus.
I'm not disputing the experience. Like, for instance, the experience with working whilst you're going to university, I'm not disputing that. Okay, you learn how to live by yourself. You get outside and you live by yourself. I understand all those type of skills.
It's almost like a training ground for living in the real world. That's why I'd say.
I understand all that, but from when you're talking about going, because I feel personally that, yes, you should work whilst you're studying, but one thing I did personally, in my third year, I stopped working because I wanted to concentrate on my final degree.
Yeah.
Because of more, where I thought of it, of the time that I need to spend studying was more important than this job that I was doing. And the reason why I was still in the bubble, because I almost thought that after I get this degree, because of things that I'm doing or the understanding that I've got now, I will definitely not be in this retail job. I'll be in a better position than this. So when I finish that degree and it's like you're applying, I'm still in this retail job. That's when the alarm bells start ringing. Like, what is going on here? Do you know what I mean? So when we're talking about it sets you up for the real world, I don't necessarily think it was setting me up. Maybe it set other people up for the real world, because I saw it two different parallels. The world I live now in regards to retail is just doing this for now.
Yes.
Until I finish my degree, which will then elevate me to another position.
Yeah.
However, finishing my degree and still understanding that there's still another point of these applications, making sure some of the stuff that you guys have raised, is what I understood that, okay, if I'm not very careful, I'm going to stay in this retail job for a while.
Yeah.
People are tuning me up to be assistant manager at these shops, and I'm thinking, not that there's anything wrong with it, please. I'm not trying to say that anyone doing these jobs is well, because some of them are well paid. Don't get it wrong. I know friends that are managers for as they know, and they are well paid.
But it's not
right?
what you
want.
want.
I'm saying is that that's not what I was envisaging for myself. Yeah. And the added point to that is that they didn't have to go to university to do that. Because I cannot, even with my university degree, just go and land into a managerial position as a store manager. I have to come in at a lesser role. Yeah. So if we're just talking about trajectory-wise, they done a better course, even if I wanted to go into retail, if you get what I mean. Yeah. So what I'm saying here is that that's why I disagreed with the point that you were making, is that, yes, I agree that having other social experience and skill set, which is more the soft skill approach, which I said, knowing how to communicate with people, but you don't necessarily have to be in a working scenario to know how to deal with a group. You don't necessarily have to be in a working scenario to be a team player. There's people I work with that have been working for ages. They are not team players. They just look out for themselves. What I would say is that if you could imagine yourself being someone that is coming out of college, and you have a lot of these decisions to make. Do I just go into a job and just work from there? Do I go into an apprenticeship scheme? Do I go into a university type of degree? How would you advise this person, Chris?
I would say that you should look at every single aspect of how to be a young adult, not just university, not university and the job route, as in how am I going to benefit after I finish my degree, how am I going to transition into the world in general, not just the working world, but adult life. So you need to look at how to cope with the pressures of being a young adult, just the transitional period of being from a teenager into a young adult. I think that's what's lacking from university, what they teach you, just the transferable skills, just to get started in life and to be able to adapt and move on in life. I think that's what a young person needs to look at when they're applying for university or further education, or just even apprenticeships or jobs.
So that young person, you say to them to go into university, or
I would say go into university. I would say you should go into university, but don't go into university with an entitled mindset. Don't go into university thinking you're going to get the job you want or the best job. But you need to have a plan, as they always say. You need to have a focus plan and to be able to stick to it and know what you want from university. Not just know that you want a job, but know what you actually want career-wise and formulate a plan to stick to it.
Cam?
Yeah, I mean, I agree with that. I mean, I was just going to bring up a point of like globalization, because I think that's changed the face of, I guess, going to university, because as I pointed out before, you could study in the UK, you don't necessarily have to stay here. There are, a number of different opportunities abroad, and I think having a degree widens those options for you. And at the same time, you go to certain countries with a degree from the UK. Some instances, it doesn't even matter what university you went to. That's just from the UK.
Just the UK.
So much value.
Yeah, 100%.
So I think that's one particular point to consider there. But I said all of that comes as a part of the overall game plan. If that's your plan and that's what you want to do, I think going to university helps with that. And I think it gives you many more options in terms of entering the work field, but at the same time, getting some form of intellectual stimulation, from, I guess, your experience at university to, I also think it's a learning experience in terms of socializing with people from different backgrounds.
Yeah.
Because one thing I would say before I went to university, I think I was very, I think from primary school to secondary school, I was restricted into some of the people that
social network.
Yeah,
100%.
Yeah, but then when I went to university, I met people from other countries, who I was able to speak to and sort of, find sort of, I guess, a common reference point on their experiences with other countries, but also my experience, growing up as a Londoner.
As I said, I'm a bit sitting on the fence on this, whether in regards to the options. As I said, I've known people like one of our friends that we've mentioned who's in real estate and is doing extremely well for himself, and he never went to university. He finished college and then just started working from there. I know a friend where I went to university with, where he got into a graduate scheme for Lloyd's, and he's been a high flyer ever since. And I know friends that after college just worked their way up, and some of them are store managers, whether it's for us stuff or Barclays. These are still reputable companies, because to be a store manager for Barclays, the understanding is that you'll be earning a few wage. So I'm a bit split on that. What I would say though is that if someone that I know came to me from college and asked me the question about whether they should go to uni and if there's some of the other options that they have, I think I agree with a lot of the stuff that you guys have said. If they know exactly what type of field that they want to go into, and in regards to the degree to the job that you're going to land yourself in, if it's easily mapped out, then I might advise that. However, if they're a bit unsure, what I would say to them is to do an apprenticeship scheme. The reason why I say that as well, for instance, the job that I work with, if you were to do an apprenticeship scheme, like for instance, we've talked about social network. The benefit that you get when you go into the job market is that you are surrounded by so many different people from different backgrounds. So some of the aspects of uni which broadens your horizon, you will still get that if you were to maybe go into an apprenticeship or work straight away. So I would say to them to do an apprenticeship that has a qualification at the end of it would be what I would advise. Because one is that you get the experience whilst you get the actual qualification. So even if you want to measure that up against someone that comes from university, when that person comes from university, you will more than likely be managing them because you'll be another step higher than them because first of all, you've got what they've got, plus you have the experience. So personally, if it's not for a vocation where there's a direct route from your degree to that vocation, as we've mentioned, like lawyer, doctor, or whatever, what I would advise them, if they're a bit unsure, would be to go into maybe an apprenticeship scheme that has some sort of qualification at the end of it. I won't tell them to just go and study business, which we've had a lot of people from black backgrounds just studying a broad thing of business because we want to start our own businesses. And then we come out to the world and it's like, first of all, you need funding. First of all, you need a few other things in order to start your business. Yeah. And then a lot of people are disappointed. They don't know where to go. And then they end up being in jobs that they didn't even want to get in the first place. But yeah, you have to feed yourself. So I think that's what I would say.
Yeah, on my side, for me, it's important to go to university, but for a younger generation or younger youth, you need to know the package that you are going to, as what Cam mentioned, because the game plan is, you want to go into university to get that education, but don't have the necessary what Chris is saying that, you are going to get the job that you studied. So knowing what the package is, university is, actually what is important also is do your research on a university. It's very important of knowing the university that you're going into and how is that going to open the door for you within, not necessarily you have to go to Cambridge or Oxford. If you can go to those two universities, then yeah, ideally that's very important. It's added into your bonus, but do your research on the university, know what they are offering and how is the statistic, how they are going, and do your research. If you know someone that's already been to that university, speak with them, talk to them, engage and see how they experience and what they've gone through. So the package is involving what the university is giving you, and if they're giving you placement, if they're giving you an internship, if they are offering a year placement and make you study there for the whole year. So that alone and your CV, it helps so much. Then as soon as you go into a company, by seeing that, they've known that you understand how to work within a team and how to work with the environment and how to do certain things. Because what is important when you're finishing university, they want to know that your IT skills is very important. IT skills is so important in at work that people don't understand that. And allowing all of this stuff to be able to preparing you when you finish university. And importantly, I don't want to stress about this, know what kind of topic you're picking to go to university. Know the subject you want to pick. Okay, you want to do business. Yes, fair enough. But as Kojo mentioned, is business is going to allow you to do your own business straight away? No, it's not. The reality is not going to, unless you have a funding, unless you have a family that's giving you the money or 10K or the 20K and say, you know what, you're preparing for this, then yeah. But even though you still do your business, understand this, that they're going to be a downfall. That's the reality. A business won't just flow straight away in 1 year, expect you to make money. So for me, university is good, but know your package, know your game plan. Don't have the Lululand and expect it, okay, I'm going to do this degree and I'm going to come out of it and I'm going to be successful and so on. Because the tuition fee is not a game. And the student loan is not a game. You understand? Because those two things, when you add it and you have your job, which they pay you 45K or 50K, knowing that if they pay you 45K, knowing that your tax is going to be high. So that alone, you need to consider that. And then once your tax is high, then you have to consider the student loan, which is 12%. Right? Then if you're living by yourself and then you have to have the living expensive cost of living of London, at the end of that, you're not going to have enough money. So this is the kind of thing I think university or A-level need to teach you and prepare you for the long run, especially when you're at university and you're doing 3 years, or some people are doing much longer, and then you have all that package or all that expenses that you need to pay. So I believe university is good, but know what you need to do.
Until next time, this is the Perspective Podcast.
Perspectives, different views, one voice.